So we'll start with the continuation of social system, that is cybernetic hierarchy of control. Cybernetic hierarchy of control. So you might have seen towards the end this topic is also there. So if the question is asked on social system, towards the end you need to write this part also, then only the answer is actually complete. So it is actually part of social system. So if the question is about social system, you also need to write towards the end cybernetic hierarchy of control. I'll tell you what is it. Now we have already discussed about few short answers here, short questions, 10 markers which can be asked. So first one that we have discussed is moving equilibrium from this system theory only, and then they can ask about AGIL model. Okay, and this is also cybernetic hierarchy of control. This can also be a short answer. So this can be a separate question. You can see if you take the previous year papers, a lot of time this question was asked as 10 marker or the short answer, and then it can be part of the social system also. So if the question is asked about social system, this is what you need to write towards the end. Okay, so cybernetic hierarchy of control. So we have already discussed that actions are never isolated. So systems are also not isolated. Okay, they are in continuous interaction. What are the action systems that we have discussed? We have discussed about cultural system, social system, organismic system, and personality system. So if actions are not in isolation but in constellation, and that's what action system. These action systems are also not in isolation, and they are always interacting with each other. All these action systems like social system, cultural system, personality system, organismic system, among them there is an interaction according to Parsons, and these interactions are in the form of exchanges. So action systems not in isolation, they are in continuous interaction with each other in terms of exchanges. And two type of exchanges are energy exchange and information exchange. So energy means it is basically the motivation, okay, motivation or the internal aspects. The information means the ideas on the basis of which the system work. Okay, so these are the two exchanges, and based on these two exchanges, all these action systems, the 4 action systems that we have discussed, were in continuous interaction. And according to Parsons, cultural system is the source of information out of the 4 systems, and organismic system is the source of energy. So organismic system provides the energy for the functioning of the system, and the cultural system provides the information or the ideas for the system. So I hope you understood now. What he is saying is the flows like this. From cultural system, what will go? Cultural system is the source of information. So there will be flow of information, and you need to maintain this order also: cultural system, social system, okay, and personality system, okay, and then organismic system. So you can represent like this, and organismic system is actually the source of energy. So energy flow from organismic system, information flow from cultural system. So you can represent like this: information flowing from cultural system and energy from organismic system. So this is how the action systems interact. So these are the 4 action systems. They are not isolated, they are in continuous interaction. The interaction is in terms of exchanges, and 2 types of exchanges are energy exchange, information exchange. Energy means motivation, information means ideas, and cultural system is the source of information, organismic system is the source of energy. And this is how you can actually show that the exchanges. Okay, so according to Parsons, there is a balance in this exchanges. So the society is always in an equilibrium. You know what is equilibrium that we have discussed yesterday? Exactly the same concept. Society is always in an equilibrium because this exchange, there is a balance between this exchange. That is the reason why society is always in an equilibrium. In a particular point of time, if the balance between this breaks, that means between information flow and energy flow, if there is a break in the balance, in case the balance between the two is broke, then the system will be disturbed. That means disequilibrium will be there, equilibrium will be disturbed, equilibrium will break. Then you know what will happen, right? Specific mechanisms will act and bring back equilibrium. That is what moving equilibrium concept that we have discussed. So what I'm saying is, so information flows there, energy flows there, it should be in a balanced form, and every society it is there, it is in a balanced form. But in case if the balance is broke, that lead to break in equilibrium. So the moving equilibrium concept you need to revisit here, okay? And that lead to social change according to Parsons. So this is the most important concept. This is what I need to discuss here. So what is social change according to Parsons? This is a question, okay? Now your 10th chapter, the first topic in paper 1, 10th chapter, first topic was theories of social change. Theories of social change. So in that we have done with the theory of social change according to Parsons. Cybernetic hierarchy of control is what you need to discuss over there. So one theory we have done. I'm not going to do Parsons again over there. So we have done with that particular theory of social change which you are supposed to study in 10th chapter. So this is a theory or the concept of social change according to Parsons. Also, can you tell me what is the social change according to Marx? We have discussed that also. So in the 10th chapter, theories of social change, we are not going to discuss about Marx also, because we have discussed Marx theory in terms of historical materialism, evolutionary model. That is what Marxian understanding of social change. You need to talk about class struggle, the changes, all those different stages. So that theory also we have done. Durkheim theory of social change also we have done. Can anyone tell me in which theory we have discussed about Durkheim's concept of social change? Division of labor. So in division of labor we have explained Durkheim's concept of social change, especially in terms of mechanical and organic solidarity. So he explained a traditional society in terms of mechanical solidarity, and he explained a modern society in terms of organic solidarity, and social change is what actually explained over there, and division of labor is actually a part of social change over there. We have seen that. So three most important theories of social change we are already done with the thinkers. Now some peripheral theories are there that we will do in the 10th chapter, okay? So this is what according to Parsons is a social change. What you need to know is, we have discussed about system, we have discussed about action systems. 4 different action systems is what you can see here: cultural system, social system, personality system, and organismic system. So they are in continuous interaction. The interaction is in the form of different exchanges. What are the exchanges? Energy exchange and information exchange. So energy flow from one direction to the other, and information also flow from one direction to the other. Information, from where it flows, it is from the cultural system. Energy, the source of energy, is the organismic system. And if there is always a balance between this flow, and if it is broke, there will be a situation of disequilibrium, and that is what social change according to Parsons. And this will be maintained with the specific mechanism. Okay, so that's about cybernetic hierarchy of control. Any doubt? Any doubts? You understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, what is the triggering point for the breaking up of the equilibrium?
It can be anything. Every day some new changes are happening, so it can be anything. But that equilibrium will be maintained immediately. So that is the similarity between Parsons and Durkheim. Durkheim also says there are some temporary abnormal situations, right? And that we have discussed in case of division of labor also, suicide also. There is a pathological situation, there is a temporary abnormal situation, but that can be solved within the system. Parsons also saying the same thing. If tomorrow there can be a new system, like anything can happen, so there can be a change, the equilibrium can break, and some new institutions will come and solve the issue. In the modern society, according to Parsons, this change will be faster. And this equilibrium can break anytime, it can fix anytime. It can break anytime, it can fix anytime. Traditional society, that is not the case. But in modern society, which is very complex, this can happen anytime. Okay?
Yeah.
Anything could be a part of that, like joint family to nuclear family to live-in relation. Arun, tell me.
Sir, can you quickly revise the first part before the interaction thing?
Which point?
When you classify this into energy and information.
Okay.
The first flowchart.
Yeah, we will see here in the PDF. Will that be okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and still if you have any doubt, we can discuss.
Yes.
So, cybernetic hierarchy of control. Another dimension of a system theory of is not required, okay? System theory is cybernetic hierarchy of control. Action systems are not isolated but in continuous interaction with each other in the form of exchanges. Two types of exchanges takes place in a particular hierarchy. So this is a hierarchy, okay? They are energy exchanges and information exchanges. Energy refers to the motivation or the internal aspect of the system which motivate it to work. Information refers to the ideas on the basis of which system work. So the interaction is in the form of exchanges, and energy exchange, information exchange. Energy means motivation, information means ideas. Parsons consider cultural system as the basic source of information and organismic system as the basic source of energy. Now you can see this. So this is how that hierarchy is given, so that you can show both flow properly. So this is the information flow from the cultural system and energy flow from the organismic system. Yeah, tell me, Arun, what is the doubt here?
Sir, no doubt, sir.
Okay. The flow takes place in a particular direction, and the balance between the two is crucial for the survival of the system. Okay, so there has to be a balance, and that's what the balance I've told you. So, and this is crucial for the survival of the system. If the balance between information flow and energy flow is disturbed, the equilibrium is disturbed. Okay, so that is clear for us. We have already discussed it. This result in social change. So this is this can be asked as a question. You have to note down here. So this is what social change according to Parsons. Okay, and this social change is maintained. There are specific mechanisms like we have discussed yesterday. So there will be specific mechanisms, right? Some mechanisms will be there. Okay, and they fulfill needs. Okay, fulfill needs, and they bring the equilibrium. Okay, and this equilibrium is broken, then if there is a break in the equilibrium, the feedback will be given. Okay, and the mechanisms will function again and fulfill the required needs, and equilibrium will be brought back. So thus
Sir, when the equilibrium is brought back, will it come to the same earlier position or still more enhanced?
To suit the changing condition. The equilibrium broke is because of some new situation, new issues have arisen. So to cope up with that, to manage that particular situation, new equilibrium will come.
Sir, but see, so if you take the example of before appointment of judges, we had a collegium system. Then again came NJC. Then again we went back to collegium system, right? So that can be interpreted.
No, that and all it cannot be interpreted in this way. That is not a system, or that we cannot say. Don't take it in those kind of examples. That is for that and this have no connection. Okay, there why we need to talk about disequilibrium or equilibrium. That is not going to create any equilibrium or anything. These are some proposals, and that is not part of this. But you can say what all things related to society, like in when industrialization emerged, what is the requirement? So based on that, society will adapt to itself. Like now this corona issue is there, so what is the requirement? So society is adapting to itself. Okay. Now thus Parsons' functional theory of system and cybernetic hierarchy of control is known as his master analytical framework, or grand theory, or generalized theory. Okay, now, so this is what we have discussed. If you have any doubt in any of this, we can discuss it again. So we started off with social action, okay? Then we have discussed about the definition, any act consciously performed a social action. Then we have discussed about 4 conditions. You remember the conditions? I'm expecting that you remember the conditions. We discussed 4 conditions and we discussed 2 orientation. I hope you know that, motivational orientation and value orientation. And we have discussed ideal types in terms of expressive action, moral action and instrumental action, EMI, right? And then we have discussed about pattern variables as the dilemmas. We discussed 5 different set of pattern variables. Then we have discussed about social interaction. Social action will result into social interaction when, if the action is oriented towards others and are in a state of mutual reciprocity, right? This interaction will result into social system when there are some conditions, and we have discussed few conditions over there. So we have seen the definition of system, that big definition, we have seen the conditions, and we have seen the functional theory. There we have discussed about moving equilibrium, and we have also discussed about AGIL model. So any confusion here with this discussion? And then we have also discussed about this constellation of action. Action never occur in isolation but in constellation. And then we have discussed about action system. So what are the different action systems that we have discussed? Cultural system, social system, personality system, organismic system. Okay, and then we have discussed about cybernetic hierarchy of control on the basis of this. Okay, so that's what we have actually discussed so far. Any doubt in any of this?
What is cybernetic?
Cybernetic hierarchy of controls, the Parson has given some technical word. You don't, meaning is not important here. The concept is important.
Okay, sir.
Sir, is it the same CSPO model? CSPO model?
CSPO model means?
I have read that it is the CSPO model, the cultural system, social system, personality, and this organism. So
okay,
is it the same cybernetic?
So that is what CSPO means. Yeah, okay. This is one you are talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. No. There is no such common term which is given by Parson. Like AGIL model is actually given by Parson, so we can generalize this. But CSPO model, maybe somebody might have told you to remember this easily. This is a code word for some people, not for Parson.
Okay, code word. Okay,
you can't generalize that. Yeah. Okay. So now let's suppose you get a question. Let me take 3 possible questions here. You may get this question: Parsons' theory of social action. Okay, Parsons' theory of social action. Now what you can do is you can number here. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. Okay, so if you number like that, then Parsons' theory of social action, if it is asked, okay, what you will write is actually, for this question, okay, so in this, if the question is asked about social action, you need to explain this part more, right? So that is talking about social action. So 1, you need to explain in detail. Also, you need to discuss about this constellation of action and action system. Then only this part will be complete. So you need to talk about 1 in detail, okay, and plus 4 and 5 in brief you need to mention. That's how you can complete the theory of social action. If it is asked for 20 mark, if it is 10 mark, just talk about 1 only, and towards the end you can say actions never occur in isolation but in constellation, and that's what Parsons calls as action system. And Parson mentioned 4 types of action system. That will be enough. You don't want to discuss too much about that if it is 10 marker, but if it is 20 marker, you talk like this. Okay. Similarly, if the question is about theory of social system, then what you need to do is, first one, because you need to talk about the first one, social action, you start with but you don't want to discuss too much. Hardly 50 to 60 words is what you need to write. What is social action you need to say, and then what you need to do is 2 and 3 you need to discuss in detail. You can see here, this we need to mention in brief, because social system means what? Social action lead to social interaction, that lead to social system. So this you need to briefly introduce in the introductory part in 60 to 70 words, then talk about interaction, and then explain all this. And towards the end you also talk about cybernetic hierarchy of control. Cybernetic hierarchy of control, along with that only this system theory is complete. But this is the case if the question is asked for 20 marker. Otherwise directly enter into social system. Don't want to talk about social action. But social interaction should be there, because in the first line you will say, if the actions are oriented towards other person and are in a state of mutual reciprocity, social interaction takes place. This social interaction will result into social system if the actors are having common goal mediated by norms and values and have abstract boundary around them. Or you will write the proper definition. So it's up to you. Then talk about the condition and then explain the theory. Okay, if it is 10 marker. So you have to have a clear idea what you need to write in each type of question based on the marks. If the theory of action system is asked, theory of action system is asked, then in that context you need to write this social action. This one you need to write. This also you need to write. This also you need to write. All the three you need to write in a balanced form, if it is action system. Okay, so I've discussed 3 possible questions here. First is social action. If that is asked, write this, write these 2 in brief. If the question is about social system, write this in detail, write these 2 in brief. If the question is about action system, this one, write all the 3 in a balanced form. So that is how you can complete your answer. Okay, now we can move on to critical analysis, but before that, if you have any doubt, we can discuss maybe for 5 minutes. Our critical analysis is available here itself. Yeah. Any doubts? We are done with Parsons. If you don't have any doubts, means that's great.
So,
Yeah.
so in the definition of social system, I mean, when we are defining social system, so do we have to write the actions are oriented towards others, or we write social actions are oriented towards others?
You just write actions are oriented towards others, because when you see the both you can write, because if you see the condition, that action will automatically become social action, right?
Okay.
Because in that itself, social system also certain conditions are there, no? So that action anyway will become social action only, because norms and values there, a goal is there. That is part of social system also. So it will be, it is crystal clear that you will be talking about, social action only.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can write social action, no problem, or actions is good actually.
Okay, sir.
Okay, no doubt in Parsons, this is really strange. Mainly people have confusion and doubts in Parsons only.
We'll ask on Monday, sir. After revising.
Okay, yeah, Arun, tell me.
Sir, if the question is asked on social system for 10 marks, do we have to write the functional theory?
Yeah, you need to write the functional theory.
But the functional theory is too big, no, sir.
Too big, but you need to consolidate it. But see, what all things, I can tell that in 150 words. So you should also be in a position to tell that in 150 words. You say, like, I will give you just an orientation if the question is about social system. Okay, and if this is 10 mark. So you have maximum 150 to 200 or we will be targeting 175 words. So first you will say action, like what we have discussed. Directly you enter into the definition, okay? Don't go for that lengthy definition, but make it in your own way. Action will result into interaction if it is oriented towards others, and then that will result into system. You explain this condition, so you may take around 30 words for this. And then you talk about, Parsons also mentions about, talk about certain conditions, okay? So that will be like, you can just write the conditions, these are the conditions, like there should be a goal, there should be norms and values, comma you can write, okay, boundary. So you can see even within each comma you can see all these are contents, and you have to get mark for each of this. And then you can say, merely understanding system is the objective of Parsons. He proposed a theory, and this theory contained 2 parts. First one, moving equilibrium. Okay, that means how the system is managed. Then the functional requisites. Okay, you can talk about the AGIL model. So that's it. And towards the end, you can also say this is Parsons also proposed cybernetic hierarchy of control to explain the concept of social change. That's enough. But all these lines will be having content, and you are supposed to get 8 mark at least. In this case, if you're writing like this, at least 8 mark you should be getting. There is no question of getting 6 marks. See, the difference is everybody will write all these things. Everybody know all these things. AGIL model, and at least people will by heart this Parsons. Okay, people, even if they are not able to understand, people will try to by heart it. So these questions, if 10 marker is asked, it is actually considered as a jackpot for them. 20 mark only will actually check your understanding and depth of knowledge. To a 10 marker, anyone can write, and even 6 mark is easy to score for anyone. So how to reach to this 8, that is all based on the understanding, and how you can put all the important points from that particular theory in minimum words.
Okay.
The conceptual clarity will do that, and I'm expecting that you already have that with respect to Parsons and all the thinkers. So we have done with all the 4 important thinkers. Now what is left out? Now Merton, very easy. Mead, only 1 theory. I think 3 days we will complete thinkers. We are done with thinkers. The 4 important thinkers, 4 difficult thinkers, we are done. Now we'll do the critical analysis. That is also very simple in Parsons, because only 1 theory, social system. That is what we need to criticize, and you know how to criticize. It is very simple to criticize this theory because everything is vague here. Okay, anything else?
Yes.
So can we move towards critical analysis? Can we discuss this critical analysis now?
Yes, sir.
So Parsons theories are, the first part is the contribution. Parsons theories are known for this one. This "and" is not required. Known for integrating various perspectives, approaches, and discipline. Parsons combined micro and macro approach. Okay, we know this. He followed an integrated approach. His understanding of macro system is drawn from the micro actions. Thus, he considered micro and macro as part of the same reality. That means he considered both the exclusivism. Micro was excluded by positivist, macro was excluded by non-positivist. So he took both. Parsons modified over Weber in his theory of social action. We know this. He attempted to develop a grand functional theory, which was never done earlier. So this is the first time a grand functional theory was proposed. In this context, he is considered to have taken functional theory to its logical conclusion. Okay, now despite his contribution, Parsons' theory suffers from some logical limitations. He never conclusively tested the empirical applicability of his own theories. Its empirical application have always been colored by his theory itself. This causes the problem of testing of his theory, because he is giving a lot of circular argument. One adaptation needs is met, then which in turn further have adaptation requirements. So it is very difficult to check his grand theory. Same is the problem we have discussed in the second point also. Further, there is a limit to practical applicability of his theories. For example, he only mentioned 4 functional requisites, but never developed an idea to know which of the functional requisite has not been met. Okay. Similarly, third one, Parsons ignores conflict in his analysis. He never considers it as an integral and continuous aspect of social reality. It only represents a state of disequilibrium which is temporary. Okay, so you can write marks here. Then Dahrendorf comment on Parsons' theory is relevant in this context. He says out of utopia. That means even more than Marx. Now, Dennis Rom's over-socialized conception of man seems to be appropriate for Parsons' theory. So I have actually written what is that over-socialized conception. If you're interested, you can read out, but that is not required, not important. Parsons' theories lack use of distinct method. This is one of the most important criticism, and this is where Merton actually modified. Merton is actually the student of Parsons. Both were American sociologists. Although he employs a combination of inductivism and deductivism, but without using a specific method. Thus, the universality of Parsons' grand theory is doubtful, which have been later on criticized by Merton and the later postmodern theorists. So you can add the Merton's views here once we complete Merton's discussion. Okay. Finally, Parsons was unable to avoid illegitimate teleology. Why? Because he is not separating cause and function. This we have discussed in Durkheim. His theories or arguments are also filled with illegitimate tautologies. Illegitimate tautology means circular arguments. So he is saying, if the system is having four requirements: adaptation, goal attainment, integration, latency. If adaptation needs are met, which in turn further have adaptation needs, right? Again, which in turn further have adaptation needs. So this circular arguments is what you call as illegitimate tautology, which will never end. So yeah, it is written here. For example, economic system fulfill the functional requisite of adaptation for the society, but at the same time, it also has to fulfill in itself the adaptation needs for its survival. At the same time, Parsons gives number of circular arguments and the legitimacy of which cannot be established. So relevance, Parsons, the present reality is becoming more and more complex and numerous systems have acquired an important place in the life of an individual. Thus, understanding of system is essential for the smooth functioning of society. In this context, Parsons' AGIL model is still relevant for improving the functioning of the system, any system. This model can act as a tool in the minds of the organizer. So for example, if we need to organize this class, this is kind of a system. So there are some functional requisites. So the organizers have to plan these functional requisites. What are the adaptation need? What are the goal? What are the integration aspect? What are the latency aspect? Okay, so like adaptation needs means that is again economic system only here. And here goal attainment, and here the integration, that is through norms and values, and pattern maintenance here is done. Okay, so this model can act as tool in the hands of okay, we have discussed. At the same time, Parsons' idea of exchanges means energy exchange and information exchange, has been widely acclaimed, and this has become a basis for new stream in sociology, that is sociology of network. I've told you relevance can be understood with 2-3 conditions, right? To what extent the future theorists are using the concept, and then how much it is relevant in the contemporary society to understand the social problems. Okay, so in all these ways you can see new streams are emerging which is connected to this exchange, so you can say it is relevant. Finally, Parsons' relevance can be understood from the fact that later functional theorization could not ignore Parsons. So that's about Parsons. Only 2 theories are given in your syllabus: social system and social action. So generally questions will be asked from these 2 only, but apart from that, short notes can be asked from here. Pattern variable can get a question. Okay, then you can get question on this one, AGIL, that is part of system, moving equilibrium, that is part of system, cybernetic hierarchy of control, that is also part of system. So these are short notes. This is also a short note. This can be a long question, this can be a long question. So these are the questions. If you go back to the papers, you will see nothing else. Yeah, anything else?
Sir, in criticism point number 2, there is some problem in the last. Criticism point number 2, I am actually not able to see now. Criticism number 2.
What is the problem?
Yeah. In the last, but it never developed an idea to know which of the functional requisites have not been met. What is the meaning of this?
No, actually,
never develop an idea.
Yeah, what he is saying is there are 4 functional requirements for any system to survive, right? AGIL. And he is saying, there will be a possibility of disequilibrium, but how to understand this disequilibrium? Disequilibrium is because any of the condition might not have met. That is why disequilibrium.
Yes,
but Parsons is not mentioning any idea to know which of this functional requisite is not being met by the system. That is again for the sake of criticizing, we are raising the point. Parsons is not talking about any specific method or idea to know which of the functional requisite is not being met by the system.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. So next day we will actually start the new thinker, Merton. The 4 difficult thinkers we are done, or 4 important, I won't say difficult thinkers, 4 important thinkers we are done. And I'm expecting you will not have any problem with respect to any thinkers. Merton and Mead is just a cakewalk. Merton I will finish in 2 days, max 3 days, Mead 1 day. So in another 4 days we are done with our thinkers. Any doubts? Okay, then we can stop here for the day.
Okay, sir.
Arun?
Sir.
Okay, no?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah. We'll stop here.
Thank you.
Yeah. See, yesterday's video, I have made it private. Now you cannot see that video. I will upload it again once again. There are some issues with yesterday's video, so I will upload it again.
Okay.
Yeah, alright. See you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.